Hi there everyone, my name is Briar. Welcome to another video today on www.youtube.com. Today I wanted to sit down, have a little cheeky afternoon beverage. I'm 19 by the way, drink responsibly, if you're a kid don't drink, all that kind of good stuff. But here we are, I make my own decisions, I live alone, so cheeky afternoon drink. Anyway, I hope you're well. I wanted to talk to you today about being trans and being non-binary, identifying as both, like, labels, and how that works for me, and how I think about that, and anything about that, really.
Hit it, Fergie!
I did want to make a disclaimer about this video, just to be like, I don't want to cause any trans discourse, Lord knows we have enough. You know, this is just my opinion, I'm not trying to speak for anyone else, this is just how I feel about me and my identity, and I'm just coming on here to talk about how I feel. And yeah, that's basically it, you know. If this isn't something that you agree with, that's completely fine, you know. Everyone has their own ideas and thoughts and feelings about stuff, and that's completely great, and I love it for everyone. Nice. But yeah, today, so I guess I'll start off by saying, obviously, hi. Welcome, you clicked on the video, you know what we're talking about. I'm Briar, I am 19, I'm an art student, and I identify as trans non-binary. My pronouns are they, them, if you're wondering. And yes, so what does that mean, I guess, is the first question that people might ask about that. Well, I suppose it means that I always say, like, when someone asks how I identify, I always say I identify as trans, not binary, you know? I think those two things kind of coincide with each other for me. And I suppose that's, for myself, is a way of, like, communicating the fact that, yes, I identify as non-binary and that is my gender identity. However, I am also a transgender person by the same margin, by the same thing, you know? I think for me, like, realizing that I was non-binary and that I was trans really was like a 1, 2 in the same thing, 1, 2 in the same, I don't know, thing. And like, you know, I think for me, identifying as non-binary obviously is different than the gender I was born as. Anywho, you know, like, I was obviously assigned male at birth and I identify as non-binary. So for myself, that communicates to me that I am trans because, you know, by definition, if you look up what trans means, it's meaning that you are identifying as a gender that is not the gender that you are born as. And I wasn't born as non-binary, unfortunately. So, you know, here I am, you know, being non-binary and identifying as a gender different to the one that I was born as, really, to me, is showing that I am trans, you know? And I think for a lot of people, I think that is also a similar thing where it's like, you know, you're not just, I don't want this to sound gatekeepy or like weird discoursey. I'm not trying to get on that Calvin Garra bullshit. Like, no, thank you. I think everyone is completely, you know, fine and valid in their identity, and everyone deserves, you know, to have their identity respected and everything. You know, it's not a fact of like disrespect. It's just like that. I think some people identify as non-binary, and that's where it stops for them, and that's great, you know. Like, I have a lot of friends who identify as non-binary who may use like they them pronouns, they may use a mix of gendered pronouns, they may use neo pronouns, regardless of like that kind of stuff. You know, they may change their name, they may not, they may do this and that and not, they may not want to pursue a medical like transition and stuff, and that's completely fine, and that should be 100% respected, and that should be 100% educated upon. But obviously that isn't my experience, so I can't speak to that. However, I would like say that, so I'm playing with a match in my hands if you're wondering. But I would say that for me, being non-binary doesn't just end with like a fact of like I'm neither male or female. I think for me, the fact that I want to pursue like a biological transition, medical, whatever you want to call it, transition. You know, I changed my name, changed my pronouns. I've changed, like, I came out to pretty much everyone now, you know, apart from like really distant family members who I don't talk to, you know, immediate like family members, friends, my peers at university. You know, I am like pretty much for the whole part out to everyone. I live as much as I can, as non-binary in the world that we live in. Not everyone realizes it, but for me, I think coming out like almost a year ago now and completely going through that whole process really, what's the word? Kind of showed to myself that I don't just identify as non-binary and that's the end of it. I suppose like it just showed me that like I identify as a trans person first and foremost, and my gender is non-binary, right? So like I'm not a man or a woman. I'm non-binary, but that makes me trans, I guess, is what I'm trying to say here. Um, yeah. I think that like from outside looking in on the community, not a lot of non-LGBTs peoples have the greatest awareness of trans people. And if they do, it's very binary. So like, people may understand transness in the context of like, there's a woman who wants to be a man, obviously it's not that, but that's how they see it, or it's like, oh, a man's trying to be a woman. And that's kind of it for them. And it's kind of like a, either you're transitioning from A to B, from male to female or female to male, and that's what makes you a trans person, right? But I think that doesn't exactly hold up, because if you look at myself and it's like, well, I was born male, yes, I'm not gonna dispute that because that's fact, I can't change that fact, and I want to be as open and kind of like transparent with you guys as possible because I think that really helps people find community and find education with other people. But obviously I was born male, but I certainly don't identify as one. I don't try to dress like one. I don't try to act like one. I completely, when I came out, like did a full overhaul, like, as if like a trans man or a trans woman would, change the name, change the pronouns, do the thing, change the way that you dress, you're like out, right? That was how it was for me as non-binary, which is certainly different to the experiences of a trans man and a trans woman, of course, because, I don't feel like that. I was assigned male at birth, and when I came out, a lot of people thought, or still people would think, seeing me out in public, they'll clock that like I'm not dressing like a man, I don't look like I identify as a man, but they may clock the fact that I was assigned male at birth and think automatically by that I am a trans woman, which is just as uncomfy for me as it would to be clocked as a man, So like it's interesting because it's like, I don't think society has caught on to a lot of non-binary stuff at all, and the most that I think they do, like people who do have a limited understanding of what it means to be non-binary, I think they kind of see it as like you're just saying that like this is your identity and that's it, whereas I suppose for what I'm trying to say is that for me, being trans non-binary kind of like it goes further than that, I guess. And not to say that anyone who doesn't identify also as trans, when you identify as non-binary, is any worse than that. That's not what I'm trying to say here. I suppose I'm just trying to talk on like my experiences and stuff. But yeah, I guess that's like kind of all I wanted to say. I mean, it's kind of a short one, but I just wanted to like put a video on my channel about this because I don't think a lot of people who are that knowledgeable of trans people and their experiences kind of get the fact that a person can be non-binary, yes, and that is super uwu heckin' valid, as Twitter would say, but they are just as much trans as a trans woman or trans man, and I don't think it's respected in a similar way, which makes me sad. It's not great. And I think it's kind of annoying because it's like, not to say that trans men and trans women have an easier experience because they don't, like everyone being trans is hard. Like, like coming out at all is hard enough. And, being trans in any kind of way, shape or form isn't the easiest thing to go through. However, I would say that like, generally there is this kind of more understanding for and like respect for trans men and trans women. Obviously the world isn't there yet, like it's not amazing, but I don't know, it's just hard because it's like, you come out as non-binary and I find it hard to not be seen as like a trend or something. I don't know. This is probably like 2015 trans YouTube rubbing off on me. But I don't know. Yeah, I just wanted to put up a video on there kind of quickly talking about that and, you know, saying that you can be non-binary and that can make you trans. You know, if you identify as trans and you're non-binary, then you're trans. Like, you're just as much a trans person as like fully FTM, like going from here to there trans man or trans woman. Like, you know, I think that it should be spoken about more and it should be more widely respected in the trans community, I guess. You know, and obviously, like, being non-binary is its own experience. It comes with its own things. A trans man or a trans woman isn't going to relate to me in all the ways that, you know, and I wouldn't relate to them in all the ways. However, I do think that there is a lot that does kind of bring the two communities together, I guess. And I don't think a lot of people from the outside kind of see that. So, yeah, I guess that's it for my video. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna post some more, hopefully. I mean, I might film a couple more now, so if you see me in the city again, don't worry, I haven't been wearing it all the time. I have. But yeah, I'm going to film a few more videos for you about some things. And yeah, if you guys have any opinions on this kind of stuff, be sure to like leave a comment. I noticed that a couple of people had left comments on my first video, which was super lovely. Thank you very much for that. And, you know, I'll be sure to comment back. You know, I'm really interested to hear other people's opinions on it too, you know. For example, if you identify as non-binary, do you also identify as trans? Or like, if you are a trans man or a trans woman, what do you think about non-binary people identifying as trans? You know, I'm really kind of interested in hearing other people's opinions on stuff, I guess. So, yeah. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. I've been Briar, and goodbye.